So, best synergies for all the commanders. Um, so let's say Raynor. What are his best teammates? Raynor does really well with a Kerrigan commander for as long as the Kerrigan commander's actually spreading creep. It does help to get a little bit of extra, not so much as maybe an Artanis commander. I believe probably the best synergy for a Raynor is going to be an Artanis. Just for the simple fact that Raynor's units are a bit squishy, but they have an extremely high DPS, especially if you're going bio. This is for a bio Raynor. If you have Guardian Shell, one of the best things that you get from that is the fact that your units that are very squishy but have high DPS have that much longer to do damage, and while they have the Guardian Shield active, they can get healed. So if you're talking about best synergies for Raynor, I'd probably say that you're going to say the best one would be Artanis. Now, if you want to go for any sort of mech, you're probably going to want to do a Swann. And then every other commander maybe doesn't have necessarily the best synergies. Like Zagara, yeah, that's really good to have along. You can do some cool things with the Frenzy, but you're not going to be... Why would you say Artanis isn't your perfect partner for bio? Guardian Shell does amazing things for Raynor. But anyways, other commanders, I don't know. There's not really much else that these other commanders really give to you. Yeah, if not bio, then you're going to be better off with like a Swann or something like that. For Kerrigan, I'm going to say the absolute best synergy is going to be Stukov. Malignant Creep, these two have like the best synergy out of probably any of the commanders. Other commanders that might be good, maybe a Raynor just for heals, but maybe not. That's not necessarily the best. A Swann does well with Kerrigan too, because it does allow you to get more gas out. But ever since the new mastery points for Kerrigan, Expedious Evolutions, it makes it so you can basically do anything you want with Kerrigan. Artanis. Having a Swann partner is pretty good. Having a Karax partner is really good for the heals, because Artanis is nice, and especially if you have the Guardian Shell as your main source of mastery points, but he doesn't have heals. So that makes it so having a Karax ally is really good. And the same thing with kind of a Swann, because he has science vessels. The same thing can be said maybe for Nova. But the other thing that's cool about Swann is it gives you extra gas. And that allows you to make a lot more Tempest, a lot more of those big things that you really want to get more of. Swann as a commander can do well with an Artanis ally, although most of the time, if you're going for any sort of mech build, Karax is your man. Karax is that guy that's going to make it so every single one of your units stays alive. Just because of the little bit of Guardian Shell that he gets. It's not called Guardian Shell, it's Unity Barrier. That helps to keep all your units alive for any big attack coming at you, and it's heals. Heals are the best thing in the world for any sort of mech commander, especially one like Raynor that, if you're going for mass battle cruisers, yes, you can have medics below, but if any unit can't attack air, they're just going to kill your medics. So usually what I do is leave a couple medics at home that I can teleport my battle cruisers back at home to heal and then bring them back out. Synergy for Zagara, in the end, is going to be Artanis. Kind of that same idea with Raynor, but just a little bit different, is that if you use Phoenix Cloaking a lot, that might be good. But one of the things I was talking about with Raynor is with Guardian Shell, you have a high DPS army that is very squishy. Zagara is very much similar to that. So if you can have Guardian Shell, all of your Zerglings just do that much more damage. Another one might be a Kerrigan or a Stukov. Kerrigan for Malignant Creep and to help spread it. Stukov because the whole map becomes covered in creep and all of your units just go that much faster. You're really not going to see much other synergy. Maybe an Abathur, but you're not directly seeing any synergy from that. Maybe the Mend is kind of nice. So Vorazun is a really great commander all by herself. Um, Raynor might be nice for the extra heals. Swann is probably going to be her best commander, though. Enemies don't benefit from from your creep, I believe. Um, but yeah, I think the best commander for Vorazun is going to be Swann, and that's because of the extra gas. Um, so that's the one cool thing. Karax, the best commander for Karax. I can't really say there's anyone specifically I would like to say for Karax. I mean, Karax benefits every other commander extremely well. Um, yeah, any commander that's good at pushing is probably going to be best for Karax. Early game is probably going to be Karax's weakness if you're going for units, but if you're going for static defense, he's kind of good. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it really just comes down to offense. He's really good with defense, and he can be okay with offense, just not early game offense. But static defense pushes is probably going to be one of your best things, anyways. Um, Moving on to Abathur. Stukov can be good for him, although honestly, any commander works. Swann also can be good because it gets you that extra gas. Um, every once in a while, I could say Artanis is pretty much good. Because of the Guardian Shell, especially because, you know, if your huge biomass units ever get killed, having that extra Guardian Shell is pretty nice. But Abathur is kind of his own thing. Now, the one thing I can say is maybe having a Kerrigan for early game is going to be nice, especially going up against maybe like Sky stuff. But honestly, I gotta say, Abathur can deal with most everything completely by himself. Alarak best synergy is probably going to be Swann again. I love Ascendance. That's my favorite build. Trying to think of anything else I would really recommend. The other thing, maybe Karax if you're trying to go mech. Other than that, I can't really say there's too much else. Ascendants have just such crazy high shield count and such low HP count that men's aren't really going to be. Yeah, I mean, base clearing, I guess you could say anybody that's good at base clearing, but if you make a couple Wraithwalkers, you're going to be fine anyways. So, I don't know. I'm trying to think of anything else. Guardian Shell is kind of nice, but the problem is you're not really going to use Guardian Shell on most of your units anyways, and Alarak doesn't really benefit from that until he gets killed and you have no other units to support him. Going back to Nova now, as just mentioned earlier, Karax is a really good commander to synergize with Nova because of the heals and the Chrono Boost. If you want more gas, Swann's probably going to be pretty awesome. And then on top of that, Artanis is going to be pretty cool too. You notice that Artanis, Swann, and Karax are great supportive commanders because they really excel in that role. Swann basically for gas and really good defense. But in the end, Nova's going to be pretty much a self-sufficient commander, but getting Guardian Shell is going to help, getting extra gas is going to help, and getting extra repairs, even though she has her own set of defenses. The drill is amazing too. Don't get me wrong, the drill is amazing. Stukov is going to synergize extremely well with Kerrigan. Stukov's going to synergize pretty well with a Swann. He's going to synergize pretty well with a Karax. Other than that, most of the other commanders don't really have anything else that adds to it. Frenzy can do extremely well with Stukov if you communicate well with your Stukov partner. Because all of a sudden, if you hit Frenzy, once you've unloaded all your bunkers or you've created a punch of Infested Terran, Frenzy's going to make those units do so much more damage. So those two can synergize really well, but they require a little bit more communication. And then Fenix is pretty much just going to boil down to Karax, maybe a Swann. Artanis might do some cool things, especially if the units die, to try to keep things alive. But if you're going for like a gateway build, you kind of want your heroes to die so that they have that extra attack damage when they're going from one unit to the next. But that's pretty much everything. I don't know. I mean, if anybody has anything else they want to say about this, please make sure to say so. Oh yeah, that was one of the things that Karina said. Stukov can synergize well with any sort of commander that has mobile buildings, and Alarak has that same thing because you can overcharge mobile buildings. Yeah. I mean, again, if you're going mass carriers. That's pretty much all I have to say about synergies with commanders. You're going to find most of the time the best synergies are going to be Swann, Karax, and Artanis because they're basically support roles with a little bit extra. If anybody's spreading creep and is good at spreading creep, Kerrigan's fantastic because of the malignant creep. But not really too much else to say about that.